Sorry guys, I lied. So, Volume 7 this time around. Rapid fire trivia and gameplay tricks ahead for the uninitiated. Also, spoilers up to Angels of the Zariman. We've been over this a lot, so I won't waste your time. Let's go!
Weird and obscure stuff.
If you pick up a Zarium Accolade or Lunaro Ball in a Zariman mission, you can drop it in the elevator in order to prevent it from despawning. You can then pick it back up and carry it around, though you can't drop it again, so it doesn't seem like you can take it back to your Dorma Zone. If anybody knows how to, though, let me know. You can press the ability buttons, 1 to 4 on PC, to instantly build turrets in Void Armageddon. Maggot decorations can be killed in Captura if friendly fire is enabled. If a Kuva Cloud touches a piece of Gara's Mass Vitrify, the glass section will shatter instantly. The first mission you complete after Daily Reset will grant a bonus of double credits. This is called the Daily First Win bonus and doesn't apply to credit gains that are mission rewards like credit caches and index payouts. If Chorus 3 is replaced via the Helminth, then Venari's icon in the arsenal will instead turn into the ability it's been swapped for. This also works for exalted weapons. In the keybind section of the settings menu, you can find two normally unbound controls for Railjack called Bank Left and Bank Right. If you decide to bind these, you can use the bound keys to roll left and right, which doesn't serve much practical purpose but does contribute to immersion. In this Orican challenge room, shooting the floating platforms will cause them to shake. During the Gift of the Lotus alerts for 2022, all missions had the Void skybox regardless of where on the star chart they took place. I only have screenshots for this one, so sorry about that. Various, mostly AoE weapons can destroy the shields of the Special Duty Coil Drive while it's invincible. If this happens, the shields will never naturally regenerate. For those who don't know, shield gating provides two different amounts of invincibility depending on the shield charge status before they broke. If the shield had fully recharged at some point before being broken, 1.33 seconds of invincibility is granted, but if the shield breaks before reaching full again after previously being broken, it will only grant 0.33 seconds of invincibility. When you have the full 1.33 seconds of shield gate ready, your shield bar will glow with an energized effect to let you know. The Freezing Ground in the Void and Lua tile sets doesn't affect Ureli if she's on Marilena. If you're being healed by Oberon's Renewal but you're already at full health, then you'll be made immune to status effects for as long as your health is full. If you roll through the Fire Blast of an Arson Eximus, you both won't be knocked down and won't take the heat proc they normally hand you. Transferring to a Necromech, Operator, or K-Drive while holding the Trank Rifle doesn't remove the minimap markers for animal call points. The Parallax ships in the Zariman have Warframe entrance ports on the bottom, which honestly makes zero fucking sense. The Railjack, its turrets, and hijacked cruise ships can be piloted by operators and drifters. On top of this, kills with Railjack turrets while using an operator will grant Amp Affinity instead of Plexus Affinity. DE, please don't patch this. People already blame me for the drifter handshake thing getting fixed. The jetpacks on Grineer Hellions and Tusk Bailiffs are destroyable. Parazon Mercy kills count towards the Executioner Nightwave challenge. The double tap augment for the Latron can build damage stacks when attacking Arctic Eximus and Nullifier Bubbles, despite them both being a form of object health. The Wear and Tear slider for the Railjack shows void contamination instead of the typical scratches when used with the Tempestari skin. The Captura camera can push around Lunaro balls in the Zariman court scene. Narmer and Orax Arachnoids use a shrunk-down Railjack weapon on their heads. The weapon specifically is either a Carcinox or a Photor, though I don't know for sure because they look almost identical. If your Warframe goes down and you extract as your operator via Last Stand, you won't lose any affinity unlike if you self-revived. The teleportation on heavies from Rift Strike and the Amar set allows you to teleport to enemies through glass. Using Peacemaker as Mesa forces her body to be drawn on screen, so it'll show up on top of anything you might be clipping into, which hurts my brain to be honest. Ballistica Prime forces deployables spawned by reanimated enemies to stay allied indefinitely, most of the time at least. In Captura, Nidus has his max mutation look by default. If you're in the Orbiter or Drifter camp scene, however, you can enter and exit the Helminth room to restore his normal look. Radial Blind can be put on Umbra via the Helminth, which means you can give him two of what is basically the same ability. The Water Geyser at Twin Horns on the plains is strong enough to launch Necromechs, while the flowers on the Valis and Drift cannot. Pressing the melee button as your operator while looking at your Necromech will cause you to instantly transfer to it and perform a melee attack. In the Necroloid area of the Necrolisk, the large pit behind Lloyd doesn't count as part of the operator-only zone, meaning that you can use your Warframe there. Rhino Prime, Ember Prime, Mag Prime, and Excalibur all have hidden lore entries if they're inspected in the Codex. Banshee's silence ability works on Void Angels, which makes them basically harmless.
Cute dog. What breed is she?
There's a special cinematic camera in Railjack that can be accessed by holding right control on PC. No idea what the console bind is, but somebody let me know if they find it out. Melee ground slams don't halt the momentum of Zephyr's Tailwind. Pretty much nothing halts it actually, which is really fucking annoying sometimes. Normally when transferring from your operator to your Warframe, there is a brief delay of like half a second or so. You can press melee to instantly transfer to your frame, but this will make you perform a melee attack. However, if you have no melee equipped, you will simply transfer instantly with no downside, other than not having a melee of course. If you have a one-handed pistol and glaive equipped together, then pressing melee while your pistol was equipped will also transfer you instantly without performing any melee attack. Speaking of glaives, you can also cancel their ground slam with a roll at any point while airborne. If you're using combat discipline and spawn any specters, the kills from those specters will damage you as if you were killing the enemies yourself. Damage from combat discipline also has the ability to proc on-damage buffs, like Arcane Avenger, Grace, and Guardian. Kills from Argazine turrets count as kills for the player who built them, and they can proc stuff like Growing Power and Combat Discipline. They also add to the stacks of Molt Augmented as well. The Omni and Railjack deals a small amount of cold damage and can actually kill things. The emissive effects on the head of the Exploiter Orb Articula don't scale with the rest of the model. The Octavia dancing at the Soma Chord is seemingly using a unique skin. On-call crew members don't count against the level 30 survival with no kills Riven challenge. The Wukong Spectre in the Index uses Wukong's old kit, as he can be seen casting Iron Jab periodically. The order of the preset mods placed on your companion determines their priority, going from left to right and top to bottom. Highest priority in the top left, lowest priority in the bottom right. In 2018, the Make-A-Wish Foundation fulfilled a wish for a kid named Eli by taking him to TennoCon that year. DE did a bunch of cool stuff to make the experience a special one for him, namely allowing him to voice a Relay NPC, which can be found here in Strata Relay.
Welcome, Tenno!
I'll leave a link to the Make-A-Wish video covering the topic in the description if you're interested. The pose for Harrow in his ability page and Baruch in the market preview for his collection are the same. Life support modules in the MR30 test show up with Forma icons when picked up. Elytra's ultimate can push around various friendlies in free roam, namely the Plains drone during the Escort bounty objective. Odonata's Energy Shell ability increases critical damage by 200% and adds 50% heat damage. This is seemingly mentioned nowhere in-game, which I find extremely confusing. Inaros has a hidden passive where all finishers he performs have lifesteal. For the longest time, I thought this was being caused by the lifesteal stat on Desiccation, but apparently not. If a Riven challenge says you can't use abilities, you can still activate an ability before the challenge pops up and not fail it. In Sanctuary Onslaught, this Gas City tile will spawn enemies off in the distance away from standable terrain, causing them to fall to their deaths. Kinda fucked up, Samaris. In the Corpus Ship tile set, in the Reactor Room, you can hack these 4 terminals to destroy the reactor, which also grants access to some hidden crates. The amount of energy you start with in a mission is actually determined by how much free mod capacity you have left on your frame. For every free point of capacity, your starting energy goes up by 5. Unairu's passive, Poise, grants immunity to slows in addition to knockdowns. It is possible to get more than 10 viral procs on Vor, though it's inconsistent and I don't actually think it does anything. You can invigorate 4 Warframes in 1 week if you have your swap ready, as you can actually use it on invigorations that have already been applied to other frames. Syndicate mission completions and Samara's target turn-ins don't count towards the daily cap, meaning you can still earn standing for completing them if your normal cap has been reached. Branching off of this, Eidolon shards don't count towards your daily focus cap either. The Korra Miyabi skin changes its name to the Korra Oiran? I don't know how you say that. It changes its name to Korra Oiran when it's in your card on Steam. Kuva and Tenet weapons have the highest mastery requirements in the game, being 15 and 16 respectively. However, you can claim them from your foundry even if you don't hit the requirement, making it essentially meaningless. The only exceptions to this are the Tenet melees, as they're purchased from a vendor and do require you to hit that 16 mastery. The projectile from Embolus' Vile Discharge augment uses the same model as the old Orican Derelict Assassinate blueprints. Okay, so when making this series, I normally try to only talk about stuff that is in the game at the time of making, but this was just way too interesting to not bring up. Over in the Discord, Sabuchi pointed out that Hydroid's Undertow used to have a different reflection map, which was a screenshot of Dark Sector's second chapter, Exposure. Lastly, on DevStream 119, it was said by DE that more lore would be added to Garuda at some point.
Well, first of all, Demaraire wants to know if we'll ever have more lore for Garuda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, we will.
Is that a yes?
Definitely.
Oh,
that's a commitment.
We had a whole thing going for Garuda that we didn't release, that we didn't have time to do with Fortuna. Yeah.
All right. Very good.
This isn't really an in-game thing, I just wanted to let everyone know that I still haven't forgotten. Alright, another weird and obscure stuff down. Thank you so much if you've made it this far, and a huge thank you to everybody who left suggestions both in the Discord and in the comments on the last video. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe and whatnot. I have a playlist for this series if you haven't seen the previous episodes, as well as the aforementioned community Discord, which will both be in the description. A ton of the stuff in this video was suggested by members of said Discord, so if you want to leave your own suggestions, feel free to do so there or in the comments on this video. I normally stream every Sunday at 5:30 PM CST as well, so drop by if you'd like. If I don't have to keep fucking canceling, that is. With all that YouTuber nonsense out of the way, thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you all when Call of Duty drops sometime between now and 2046. Of course, I write that joke into the script and then DE releases the update out of nowhere. What the fuck?